Gate of the Witch, I open thee. Candeloro! ReDraw with me featuring the most voted fan art among my previous drawings. And based from all the responses, Lucy Heartfilia from Fairy Tail wins! She cosplays as Mami Tomoe from PUELLA Magi Madoka Magika. If you're wondering who Candeloro is, it's the witch associated with Mami Tomoe. When I was first introduced to Madoka Magika, I thought it was going to be like Sailor Moon, Princess Tutu, Saint Tail, Wedding Peach, or any other shoujo series. But it's actually dark and refreshing. It's like the dark side of being a magical girl. I'm not really sure what I was thinking when I drew the three of them, but all I know was that the theme was somehow all of them were cosplaying as someone else. So I'm conflicted what I will be talking about while I draw Lucy, since I only finished season 1, I think, when spoilers around the internet about them winning through means of the power of friendship during a big fight, in which I don't know with whom, that I lost my will to finish the whole series. And one of the reasons are in my top 5 list of anime pet peeves. Let's start with my pet peeve in anime number 5. Making strong characters weak. I get that they're also humans in their world and has their own weaknesses. I mean, everyone does. But I dislike that these characters can kick ass or finish their opponents if they weren't scared. I know, if I were in their shoes, I'd probably also feel scared when my weakness is in front of me. But I just felt that instead of crying or screaming at the midst of a battle, they used their actual abilities to get over it. Some would start as weak at first, similar to Lucy, who avoided battles, but after training and gathering powerful celestial spirits, she was able to upgrade her rank. This is a natural thing in life since everyone needs to start from below. So basically, Lucy doesn't fall under it since she was only starting out when she first entered Fairy Tail. Mary Jane also started off as weak in the series, but that's not entirely true. She was strong in the beginning but lost her access in magic after something tragic happened which involves her family. This is also doesn't fall under this category because of unforeseen circumstances. A great example of what I mentioned is from a different anime is Zenitsu from Demon Slayer. Sure, he's kind of annoying, crying all the time. It's kind of funny at times, but if it's repetitive, it's no longer funny. Although he only knows first breathing during the first few seasons of the series, it's actually really powerful. Let's move to my pet peeve in anime number 4. Beauty standards. I tried watching Kiss Him, Not Me, but I just didn't get into it. I don't like the plot that the female character was a heavyweight, but then turned into a stereotype, slim and sexy female lead that every guy wants. I know it's funny that she didn't want any of the guys but would ship them instead of her, but they only noticed her when she slimmed down, which was not a very good message for me. This is kind of similar to the webcomic True Beauty. I managed to finish this webcomic and probably enjoyed it because of the art style, even though the plot was really far off. Maybe because I'm also crushing on Suho, so I was swayed by it even though the message of accepting oneself is badly portrayed. An anime that portrayed this well and successful was My Love Story. Takeo was not the popular, humble bishonen we usually see in shoujo, which was very refreshing. He would usually be misunderstood because of his gigantic size and his angry face, but he is actually a very kind guy. Yamato is a small and sweet girl but believed she had an attractive childish figure. She fell for Takeo because of his personality and appearance. I was glad both of them stayed the same until the end. They had their fair share of insecurities but managed to make it through. That's the kind of story I wanted to see most of the time. Early access of ReDraw with Me is available in My Coffee. Just go to coffee.com/LadyMidori and go to my tip jar. You can choose two options. One is to give a one-time payment, or two is to choose a monthly subscription for me to continue making contents like this. Other than the early access, your reward includes full high-resolution image of the fan art featured in this episode. Did you like a previous fan art I featured in one of my YouTube videos? No worries. Head over to My Coffee and send me a message which fan art you wish to purchase in my coffee shop. I will create a customized version for you to purchase. Now let's get back to the video. Next to my list of pet peeve in anime, number 3, harem. Somehow I've managed to watch reverse harem. Maybe I should share some points why I prefer reverse harem over harem. For starters, harem usually is focused on a stupid, useless male lead with a kind heart that every girl falls for. Nothing is pretty special for him, and he looks so standard that you'd actually forget he's the main character. But all the girls seems to fawn over him. So why would I hate harem when I prefer reverse harem? Probably because of how shallow it is. Like, it's all about the looks or how they spend their time with the main character, while the main character is clearly oblivious that the female friend he is hanging out with has secret feelings for him. Though reverse harem does the same, most of the time, the female lead has more personality than the harem male lead. Because in the reverse harem, the main character may appear naive, nonchalant, smart, or stupid, but not entirely useless or oblivious of their surroundings. Probably because female process their thoughts and feelings with emotions and not with body language alone. They also would end up with a male lead. The only reverse harem that I've loved so far were Fushigi Oran High School Host Club and Sainkoku Monogatari. But for harem, it's like an open-ended, or the male lead doesn't want to choose, or there's no canonship. Following number 3 is my pet peeve in anime number 2. Overpowered or useless main character. Oh yes, the male character who either has everything and everyone, gets all the girls, but would say he's loyal to one and hated by fellow male characters because he's so damn perfect. Does that remind you of someone? Now every anime or webcomic has that kind of main character, especially those who focuses on RPG. Like, they all look the same, standard anime guy with black hair and standard features that makes him not to stand out, but in his world, he stands out very well to all the ladies he's surrounded with. And he's got all the power-ups, he's got all the weapons, he's got all the money. It doesn't seem to have been defeated once. The plot is actually boring if the main character is always winning, you know. I'm not only talking about anime series in here. I'm also referring to webcomics because I'm seeing lots of RPG webcomics that has the same looking main lead and are either useless at first then overpowered by the end. You know, it gets boring when they win all the time or if they have no particular goal. Finally, as my top of the list, my pet peeve in anime number 1 goes to fan service. Perhaps the overuse of oppai flashing left and right of my screen irked me. That's why I didn't finish watching Fairy Tail. Like, okay, they have huge melons popping out of their chests or their peaches sticking out, but I was supposed to be focused on the fight. But the fan service is just getting through me, like getting the clothing ripped apart during the fight. I can understand. But to be stripped off by the chest or to those sensitive areas, I actually forgot which genre is this. I'm even wondering if it's ecchi. I know it's shonen, but most shonen series aren't like that. The battle could be intense, but not to the part where the characters would end up losing their clothing altogether. Sure, some shonen have some female characters with huge melons, but not most of them are like that. In Fairy Tail, it's like every one of the female characters are like that, and you can barely count those who have normal size ones. So my number 1 pet peeve in watching anime, if it has too much fan service, I'm out. Okay, so before we move on to the topic, I just remembered that I also finished watching a few seasons of Food Wars. The art is amazing, that it makes me drool on seeing the dishes come to life, but not to the point that I'll be on my birthday suit when I stare at them. It was so hard to watch and finish with me having to look at my back all the time or minimize the screen because I literally don't have my own room. Gosh, I can't believe I survived watching it without having to be uncomfortable with watching the characters getting stripped off as they eat the most delicious dish. I roll my eyes to the exaggeration and the groans after taking a bite of the meal served to them. Heck, if that was the feeling for most judges even in national television, it'd be a weird thing to watch. I stayed because of the art, the dishes, the plot, and the songs. I think I've reached until season 4. For me, the best cooking series I've watched is Cooking Master Boy. Back to the topic. What I actually love from Fairy Tail is that the characters' outfits change from time to time and it's refreshing in the eyes. What's not refreshing is them having to show off their skin most of the time. That goes for male and female characters. What I finished is actually Hiro Mashima's first series, which is RAVE Master. I actually like the art and story better, and because Risha and Haru are canon, I just found out they are married and have a son, in which I have to read. So you can guess that I'm a Nalu shipper as well. I know it's not so obvious since I rarely draw them. I did draw them once in my Patreon though. I can even remember shipping Leo with Lucy. Well anyway, I'm not going to talk about ships because most ships in Fairy Tail seems canon except Nalu. I've seen a Reddit post that Mashima released an official art with Natsu and Lucy's daughter, and I'm not sure if this is legit or if Mashima is trolling with us. With all due respect, I don't like their designs. I know it's a combination of both couples, but it seems forced. I don't think I'd like Nalu's daughter to have Natsu's spiky hair. Maybe the pink hair, but Lucy's long hair would be okay. As for Juvia's son, I think it'd be nice if the son had Juvia's blue hair, skin, but Gray's eyes. But that's just me. I'm not sure if I'll watch the remaining seasons of the series because the 100-year quest was released this July of 2024. Now, while we're in the topic, there were some cute costumes Lucy has, especially ones associated with the Zodiacs. I like the Star Dress Sagittarius and Cancer form. See, it's possible for her to look cute and still be fit for battle. I actually prefer Erza's armory because it at least is battle ready. Lucy mostly wear short skirts, in which isn't really for most battles. But I guess Mashima knew what he was doing. I know that magical girls also wear skirts and boots, but you'd notice that even though it's so short, we don't see any of their pitches being shown or them getting their costume ripped into pieces during a battle. That's because their suit is somehow an armor. Or that's what I'd like to believe. Maybe that's why I enjoyed Miraculous designs with their costumes, because it's a mix of magical girl plus heroine. Although not all of them are likable, wearing a jumpsuit is just right because the characters are made to fight. Look at Marvel and DC Comics. They're all wearing colorful jumpsuits. So, in order for the girls to fight, they need to move freely, and they can only move freely if they're wearing shorts, pants, or jumpsuits, which really doesn't scream magical girl. Miraculous was able to pull this off and create some costumes suited for both genders, whatever size they are. I just wish that the rest of the heroes weren't so introduced so quickly that I'd forgotten about them. I don't think I've mentioned this, but let's do some honorable mentions for my pet peeve in anime. Age gaps. But I have some limit to it, as if it involves a god or a demon being in a relationship with a human being, then I'd skip the age gap trope. But if they're both human, then that's where my pet peeve comes in. It also applies in real life, as I've been in that kind of situation as well. I think we're 3 to 4 years gap. I don't really remember much since I've pretty much forgotten everything else. Another pet peeve of mine is having a lot of plot holes. It irritates me to the core when some scenes or characters are irrelevant to the story. You'll see them in another scene and wonder what happens to them in the next scene, or they just disappear. It's like they're part of the background. And lastly, when scenes are predictable. If some situation led to be there, then it's obvious what the next scene would be. I love it when a story catches me off guard and the opposite happens. And here's the final artwork for ReDraw with Me featuring Lucy Heartfilia from Fairy Tail, cosplaying Mami Tomoe from PUELLA MAGI Madoka Magika. Want to know which drawing should I redraw next? Click the subscribe button so you get updated and answer on the next poll I post. I'm excited to see which you would choose. See you in my next video!